go ahead and get started whenever you're ready. Thank you everybody for coming tonight. Without further ado, here is Jeff.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sinclair. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. Definitely hope you gained some valuable information, valuable knowledge from what we're going through tonight. Um, One of the things, if you've ever attended a presentation of mine, you know that I don't like to keep them long at all. And so this is an opportunity tonight just to learn more about QuickBooks, right? What it can do for you. Just giving you an overview of QuickBooks, right? It's not necessary to super in depth or anything like that. But nonetheless, this will give you the tools that you need to ensure that QuickBooks works well for you. So I'm actually just going to share my presentation. And so throughout the entire time today, you'll notice that I'll be sharing the PowerPoint. And then we're also going to go directly to QuickBooks, right? To QuickBooks.com so that we can get a live overview of QuickBooks and navigating through some of the features and some of the tools of QuickBooks. All right. And so if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat throughout the presentation. And then I always like to leave at least 15 minutes for Q&A so that folks can unmute themselves and, ask the questions that you need. And then I'll also share my contact information at the end for anybody who's interested, in basically getting to know more about what we do, how we can help you, things of that nature. All right. And so today is QuickBooks 101, right? So I'm going to keep it pretty basic. Accounting for your business is essentially the title of the workshop. And so to go over an agenda, I'll start off with an introduction of who I am along with my purpose in life. Then we'll go into an overview of QuickBooks. What is QuickBooks? How can QuickBooks actually help you? Then we'll go into the live demonstration of QuickBooks. So we'll go to the QuickBooks website. We'll go through the different features, the different tabs, different bank accounts, right? All those things. So you'll get a chance to see what QuickBooks can do for you directly. Then we'll do 15 minutes at least 15 minutes for Q&A. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to type them in the chat and then we'll go through them during the Q&A session. And then during the Q&A session, you can feel free to unmute yourself and then ask your questions as well. All right. So who am I? My name is Jeff Badu. I'm a licensed certified public accountant. I was born and raised in Ghana and came to the U.S. When I was 8 years old. Fast forward, I attended the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign, where I received my bachelor's degree in accounting as well as my master's degree in accounting. And then I went on to become a parallel entrepreneur and a wealth multiplier. I'm the founder and CEO of Badu Enterprise LLC, which is a multinational conglomerate in the finance industry. And what we do is we provide a suite of financial services, including our marquee company, which is Badu Tax Services. And that's the firm that provides tax preparation, tax planning, and tax representation services to individuals and businesses across all 50 states in the US. And we also have clients that are physically based in over 25 countries at the moment. We also have Badu Investments LLC, which is our real estate investment company, and we invest in apartment buildings, primarily in Northwest Indiana, Hammond, Indiana specifically. All right. Then last but not least, we also have the Badu Foundation, where we teach financial literacy to the communities. We actually just got done with a class last month where we taught a group of 6 through 18-year-olds on things like budgeting, saving, investing, and entrepreneurship. So we just got done with that class last month via Zoom. And so the Badu Foundation teaches financial literacy. And lastly, my purpose in life is to inspire and support the super hungry to take hold of infinite resources in order to create an abundant lifestyle. For those who didn't catch that, maybe you're on your way home from work, maybe you're getting ready for dinner, whatever the case may be. Let me just go ahead and repeat that one more time. My purpose in life is to inspire and support the super hungry, including the 30 plus of us so far tonight that have decided to volunteer our precious time, right, to take hold of infinite resources, such as what God has manifested in me to deliver to you all tonight in order to create an abundant, not a scarcity, but an abundant lifestyle. All right. And so, what is QuickBooks? QuickBooks is essentially a tool that allows you to track your income and expenses throughout the year, your business financials. It is solely a business tracking tool. This is not for your personal finances. This is for your business finances. And so basically, in a nutshell, and you'll see it in the demonstration, all you're doing with QuickBooks is you're signing up right through QuickBooks Online via QuickBooks.com. And basically, you're linking all your accounts that are tied to your business checking account, your business credit card account. You're linking all of that directly in QuickBooks. What it does is it's like logging into your bank. Let's say Chase Bank, for example, whichever bank you're banking with. You basically logging on to your bank, and then when you log on to your bank, what happens? You see all these transactions pop up. Same thing with QuickBooks. It's very synced, and so whatever your bank has, that information gets transferred into QuickBooks, and it does backdate it for you. It does allow you to go back to January 1st of 2025, for example. And all you're doing with the QuickBooks is you're categorizing the transactions and saying, okay, this is meals, this is travel, this is utilities, this is payroll expense, right? So you're choosing the right category. You can actually set rules in QuickBooks, which I'll show you here in a few minutes. You can go ahead and set rules directly in QuickBooks where you can say, every time I go to Starbucks, please categorize this as meals, for example. It does have AI, artificial intelligence in it, and some machine learning, right? And so basically, it will try to pre-categorize some things for you. It's of course not always correct. So you do want to make sure that you own the data and ensure that if you see something, like pretty much just make sure you go through the information. Don't just let the AI, don't just let the machine do everything for you, because I've seen things go wrong where they will accidentally choose the wrong category, which can significantly impact your financials and your books. Right? You never want inaccurate books. You want clean books, and you want nice and tidy books, basically. And so, as long as you're paying close attention to the QuickBooks and not just letting it do everything for you, you're actually the one that's verifying the data and overseeing the data. You'll do just fine in QuickBooks. It does a lot of the nitty gritty, right? Instead of you using an Excel spreadsheet where basically you're going in there, you're pulling all the transactions, you're manually entering stuff in Excel. Yeah, none of that with QuickBooks. It's very seamless, very user friendly. And by using things such as rules, you can make your life very, very easy and streamlined. All right. So, to get more into detail about QuickBooks, all that it can do is it allows you to automatically download and categorize transactions with the right oversight, right? So, let me put an asterisk next to that. Participate in online billing, create professional invoices. You can actually send clients invoices and get paid and accept payments through QuickBooks as well. You can also send estimates if you're, contractor, for example, where you have to send bids and estimates. You can actually do that through QuickBooks. You can upload receipts through your phone, so they do have a mobile app. You can also track your mileage, in QuickBooks. You can create customized financial reports, your profit and loss report, your balance sheet. Those are your two main reports, with the profit and loss report being your primary report ultimately. All right. Some of the pros of QuickBooks, it's a full-blown accounting software. You don't need anything else outside of QuickBooks as it relates to accounting. Now, QuickBooks is not something to file your taxes, right? I'm talking about accounting, record keeping, bookkeeping. You don't need anything more than QuickBooks once you set up the QuickBooks correctly. It has a nice professional look and feel. When we're in business and things are looking professional, then it naturally feels good. It looks good. All right. It's from time to time rated the best software in the industry, the best accounting software in the industry. And then there's plenty of discounts offered. They usually give you some nice promos, especially if you're working with a QuickBooks Pro advisor, right? And so that's something important to keep in mind. And then it tends to save business owners a ton of time. They say 10 hours per month. 10 hours per month. Can you imagine how much time you can do or utilize with 10 hours per month? Let's say your hourly rate is $100 per hour. Well, that's $1,000 per month. That's $12,000 per year. That could fund your retirement accounts, your Roth IRA, individual retirement account. That could fund a life insurance policy, your kids' college education, right? That's $12,000 a year in time that you're saving that you can use that time to work on your business, for example, or help clients and make some money during that time. All right. And then, yeah, one of the cons I would say is it does require some level of training. So it's good that you came to something like this tonight because it will give you the type of training that you will benefit from by having in order to successfully utilize QuickBooks. One thing I like about QuickBooks is it has a lot of videos, tutorials directly on the platform itself. Every time you go through a tab, it will show you a video or tutorial, right? And then it has an entire YouTube channel that has these short 2 minute, 3 minute videos that show you how to navigate through certain features. You need help categorizing certain things. You need help creating certain expense categories. Well, they have a section in the videos that actually shows you how to do it. So they're very, to me, it's very user friendly, and there's a lot of education that comes with it. Now, we have had some folks say, oh, yeah, QuickBooks is not the most user friendly. I say that it is very, very user friendly from my experience, at least. All right. So let me go ahead and stop sharing real quick and let me go into the demonstration of QuickBooks. Remember, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. And then at the end, we'll have some time for some Q&A. Remember, I don't like to keep my presentations too long, right? This is an overview. This is a 101, right? And so you're not expected to become a QuickBooks expert after going through this course or after going through this workshop. Naturally, this will get you more comfortable with QuickBooks and utilizing QuickBooks. All right. So this is the interface of QuickBooks. Share my screen here. When you first sign up for QuickBooks, remember you go to quickbooks.com and this is the QuickBooks online version. More specifically, this is the plus version of QuickBooks. In your business, you probably will just need the simple start version, which is a more cost-effective version. It still does a lot of things, not as much as the plus version, but nonetheless, it's probably good enough, to get your business going from a bookkeeping standpoint. All right. And so this is what it looks like. So when you sign up, you enter all your info and everything like that. Then you enter the name of your company, address, basic information. Then it'll take you to a screen like this. So as you can see, the name of this company, this business is Craig's Design and Landscaping Services. This is a demo account. This is not a real company. This is just for demonstration purposes. You'll notice that you can put your logo, right? So you can actually click the icon and add your business logo. And it's always nice to have that logo there. So on the left-hand side, you'll notice the bookmarks. You'll notice the bookmarks. And basically what this is just an easier way to navigate through the different features, the different tabs of QuickBooks. Now, what we're on right now is the dashboard. The dashboard is going to show you things like what's your cash flow trending looking like. As long as you're categorizing things correctly, it's going to show you, hey, what's your cash flow trending look like over the past 12 months? In this company, we haven't really categorized a lot because it's demonstration purposes only. But you'll notice like you'll have some charts, some graphs, right? You can see, oh yeah, July, not so good. Excuse me, you'll notice that July for this company, not so good. And so what this allows you to do is it allows you to see different trends. You'll notice like different expense categories. And so this company, for example, they're down 57% from the prior 30 days, right? And it has a breakdown of the category. All right. And so the thing I like about QuickBooks is that on the dashboard, it does give you a nice overview of everything, right? It shows you what bank accounts are linked to QuickBooks. It shows you your profit and loss as a breakdown. Now notice this is just for summary purposes only. This is only for the sake of summarizing. If you want to get into the more detailed reports, then you'll just go to the report section, which we'll go through here in a. But basically, where you'll spend 90% of your time in QuickBooks, I kid you not when I say this, 90% of your time in QuickBooks is going to be in the transactions tab, right? Your bank transactions, your credit card transactions. And notice how when we navigated to that section, immediately a video popped up. It says, hey, get an overview of how the bank transactions work, right? And so for me, if I'm brand new to QuickBooks, I'm clicking this video and I'm watching the video just to see if I can gain some more insight. And you'll notice that the video is going to pop up. You'll see here it's the YouTube channel. And so it's going to link you to the video that shows you how to categorize transactions, right? It's a nice video, very, very streamlined, very straightforward. You notice it's only 3 minutes long. So I tend to like this because it's like, okay, I'm new to this thing. All right, you're walking me through, you're guiding me through the process. So always watch the videos. It's very, very helpful. You only have to do it once a few times, and it makes life a lot easier for you. And for me, I'm all about ease. I'm all about efficiencies, right? And so anything that can make my life easier as I'm going through something, especially something I'm not familiar with, I'm going ahead and doing that, right? I'm just going ahead and watching it because I know it's going to save me time in the long run, even if I have to spend a few minutes now, for something in the future. All right. Remember, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. We're doing a QuickBooks demonstration right now. And so right now we're just showing you that once you log into QuickBooks for the first time, it's going to go through different videos. And you notice this link is always here, actually. So this video tutorial link, it's always going to be there for you whenever you need it. It's also going to do if you want to do a tour. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll take you through a tour. All right. And so it tell you like, hey, these are the things you should probably be doing in this tab. Review your transactions. Okay, cool. Add transactions. Okay, it tells you exactly what that means, right? And then it tells you, okay, if you want to see what's categorized, click this link. So you notice it's very user friendly. It's very educational. It's not here to trick you or like this is not some fancy accounting software, right? This is very, very straightforward. And you notice they have some AI powered tools coming in soon, right? You always want to be careful with AI. As great as it is, as great as it sounds, and as streamlined as it makes the work, you just want to be careful with AI because AI is not the end all be all. It's not the catch all be all. You always want to make sure you verify the data. You want to make sure the AI is actually doing or it knows what it's doing, basically. And so one of the first things that you do in QuickBooks is you're going to link your bank account. To do that, all you do is when you go to the transactions tab, you'll see here bank transactions, and then you'll see a link account. You just click it, link account. Now, this is a demo version, so it's not going to take me to an actual account. But let's say you have a Capital One account, for example, right? Or a Chase. Let's do a Chase. So basically, what will happen is once you click Chase, it's going to navigate you to your username and password. Yes, this is your real username, your real password. This is safe, by the way. It is end-to-end encrypted, right? So it is end-to-end encrypted. It also has two-factor authentication for extra security, right? So this is not some thing that's going to hack you or anything like that. I can tell you this is one of the safest things that you can do as far as security is concerned. I even put a message here at Intuit, the privacy and security of your information are top priorities. All right. And so, we've had some clients in the past like, oh yeah, I don't want to link it to QuickBooks because I'm scared somebody's going to hack me. Well, it's no different than you having a bank account and you logging into your Chase account online. Somebody can still hack you. It's the same thing here. It's just this is an integrated software. And I can tell you QuickBooks does take their security very, very seriously. And so here you notice I can't log in just because it's a demo. This is a demo account, right? And so with that being said, once you log in, enter username and password, it's going to ask you, okay, which accounts do you want to link? Checking account, credit card account. All right, you select the checking account, and then it asks you what date. What date do you want to link, pull the transactions from? Right. And you always select January 1st, 2025. So when you do that, it's going to sync all the transactions into the QuickBooks for you, right? Just as you logging into your bank. And then the next steps after that would be to categorize the transactions. So here you notice that it pulled in 25 transactions when we linked the checking account. And now here's what we do when it comes to categorizing. So it's almost like a puzzle. It's almost like a game, basically. So this company is a landscaping company, right? So my advice here typically is to basically, we need to figure out who your vendors are, right? So let's, for example, Books by Bessie looks like they got $55 from Books by Bessie. So number one, you want to figure out what is this, and is this a frequent transaction? So let's answer the first question. Books by Bessie is a customer of the company, right? Craig's Landscaping. And they do often pay. And let's say this is design income or landscaping income. So what I can do to make your life easy, create a rule at the bottom here. Call the rule Books by Bessie income. All right. And then it'll show you which accounts, trigger that rule basically. So money in from your checking account. All right. And then it contains all of these, right? You can do different rules and everything like that. And then the category I want to use is, let's see here. Let's just say landscaping services. And then get this, I can check this auto, right? And what the auto does is it applies the transactions from the past and also for the future. So every time you see Books by Bessie, right, and it's an income transaction, it's automatically going to categorize it for you as income. This is what I mean when I say verify the data. Save yourself the energy down the road by putting in the time now, basically. And that imagine if I accidentally selected the wrong category. Remember, QuickBooks, the AI defaulted to uncategorized income. Imagine if I didn't pay attention to that, I just hit save. Now all my transactions would have gone to uncategorized. But now, right, I'm verifying the data. I notice it's landscaping services income. Right, you want to make sure all these details are correct. Triple check it because it's a one and done for Books by Bessie after this. All you do is press save and watch the magic happen. Now, all your Books by Bessie is going to be categorized as income. Now, it was only one transaction, right? But let's say what happens when you have two transactions. Let's see how easy it becomes. So you notice we have two A rentals, right? A rental transaction one, A rental transaction two. So let's click A rental, first transaction. And to categorize the transaction, all you do is click. You literally just click anywhere in the transaction. You go to create rule. I love rules, by the way. Rules definitely save you a lot of time. So we go to the rule and I always name it something I'll remember what it is, right? Keep it simple. A rental income, right? And this is also, let's say, landscaping service. And notice it defaulted for uncategorized. That's what the AI thought it was, and that's a big no-no. So let's go to landscaping. And by the way, you can search. You can also search in here to make it easier. So landscaper services income. Let's make sure we choose the income, not the expense. You notice there's also expenses of landscaping services. We don't want to choose that. Now it is a little interesting that a company that does landscaping would also have an expense category called landscaping, right? I find that to be a bit interesting. So we hit our save. And basically what's going to happen is it's going to categorize the two transactions automatically. So now our A rental is no more. Now notice this one appears to be a refund, right? Or basically this is money that is a deposit, right? Money that's being received. Um, and so can anybody tell me the mistake that I just made with this transaction? Anybody? There's a slight mistake, slight error that I made with this transaction, with the categorization. Anybody? Going once? Going twice? So one thing I realized is that the A rental was an expense. The one that I just categorized was actually an expense, not an income, right? It was actually an expense, not an income. And this is why you want to pay attention, close attention to basically the income versus the expenses. So one of the first things to correct any mistakes I make with rules is I first go to rules. All right. So you notice it'll show you a video. Hey, how do you set rules? Boom, there goes a video right there. Go to rules. And I want to delete this a rental rule because I made a mistake, right? I need to delete this rule because the one that I categorized was actually the expense one, not the income one. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press undo in the transactions tab, undo again. What this does is it moves it back to the for review so that I can properly categorize it. So notice, here we go. This a rental, it should be, now I don't know exactly what this is, right? I don't, this is not my company, but let's just say a rental space, right? Let's just say hypothetically. And so, excuse me. So let's just say this is a rent or lease. And so what I'm going to do is now choose the right category as an expense. Now, this time the AI was almost spot on, actually. The AI was almost spot on because it's recognized, hey, I spent money, so it's probably an expense, not income. Right? But I went ahead and changed it to, to income rather than expense because I thought mistakenly that this was money in rather than money out, basically. And here we go. It's money out. So let's hit save, and then it categorizes those two transactions, right, as a rental lease, rent or lease. Now for this one, let's just say this is just a refund of the rent, right? Or basically it looks like, here we go. There's some sort of deposit refund, right? Because this is rental space for the company. Okay, this is a one-time transaction. No need to really create a rule for this. So I just press add in the rent or lease section. All right, so this is what you're doing in QuickBooks. Your goal is to get this 21 number down to 0. Use rules where you can. There's also the match feature. So if you're sending invoices through QuickBooks and ultimately you're collecting payments through, let's say, another platform, let's say that you accept Zelle payments, right? Let's say that you send the client an invoice through QuickBooks, but you accept payments through Zelle. What's going to happen is, and you want to be super careful with this, is that the invoice itself, you don't want to mark it as paid yet. What you want to do is you want to match the transaction, the Zelle payment to the invoice, right? You want to match the Zelle payment to the invoice. And what happens there is the invoice is going to be closed out and show as paid by you hitting match, right? Because the Zelle payment was received, and then we match it to the invoice that you sent to the customer. All right. Now, let me answer a few questions as I go. Bernie says, can you use QuickBooks to certify profit loss balance sheet statements? No, you cannot. You do usually need a CPA, a certified public accountant. Can you create professional looking reports through QuickBooks? Absolutely, you can. But you usually need a CPA, a certified public accountant, to certify, right? Certify the statements. All right. Can one use QuickBooks and thank you for the shot. Natasha says should be AR. Very close, very, very close. Crystal says, can one use QuickBooks for property management? Yes, absolutely. You can actually do multiple properties in here. You would need the plus version of QuickBooks so that you can track per property. This version or the Simple Start version, you cannot track by location or property, right? And so with the plus version, you can track by location or property. All right. Let's see. Benansi, hopefully I'm saying that right. Says, is Quick Cross compatible with tax filing software? I believe you're referring to QuickBooks, right? QuickBooks compatible with tax filing software and money management apps like Acorn, Robinhood, NerdWallet, computer apps like Numbers or Excel. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. What does the number 21 represent again? It is the uncategorized transactions, the number of transactions that are still for review, right? That you have not categorized. You haven't selected the right category yet. You do want to select the right category for all the transactions. Remember, by using rules, it can drop this number down substantially, right? So, every 3 transactions may be tied to one rule, and then you just trim the number down. That All right. So this is the number of transactions that you have left to categorize. All right. Would this be the same? Would the same idea be applied to PayPal? I would say as far as integration, yes, but this is not a PayPal software. All right. And so with that being said, let's see here. Saida says, how should payments made toward a line of credit be recorded? Are they considered an expense? No, they're not. Basically, what you do is you want to create that line of credit account in your chart of accounts, right? You want to create that. Your chart of accounts basically is your list of accounts that you have in QuickBooks. Real simple, right? And so let's go ahead and search for a chart of accounts with QuickBooks. You can search for stuff. All right, so let's search. There you go. Chart of accounts. That's just your list of accounts. All you do is you add a new account, right? You go to the top right-hand corner. You call this line of credit and be specific as possible, right? Chase line of credit, business line of credit. What account type is it? Here we go. It is a loan. It's a liability. I would probably put it as other current liabilities because it is current. Or actually, you know what? Let's do long-term liabilities. And you can do notes payable, right? You want to put the balance. What's the unpaid balance? As of what date? Describe it if you want, and then boom, you save it. And now what you do is every time you make payments towards that line of credit, you just select, and it pops up in your bank feed. You just select line of credit, right, as the account basically. And so it's not an expense account, it's a loan account that you credit the payments to. Now, if there's interest tied to the line of credit, then you want to split it between interest, which is an expense under interest expense, and then the line of credit principal, which is, not an expense, it's just the line of credit amount. All right, Terrell, welcome. Terrell says, hello, everyone. Never heard of QuickBooks. Can you give me a basic understanding of QuickBooks? Well, welcome to the workshop. All right. Basically, all we're doing with QuickBooks is we're linking our bank accounts, credit card accounts, like we're seeing on the screen that's about to pop up in a few seconds here. And we're categorizing the transactions, right? I would say with QuickBooks, the credit cards are probably a lot easier, right? Just because you can say, okay, Amazon, for example. Now, this is a refund, so let's not use this one. Let's use an actual expense. So we got Lara's lamination. All right, let's create a rule. All right, so Laura's lamination. And let's just say this is um, services, right? Let's just say it would be, you want to get more specific than that, but let's say services. Let's see what category that fits the best. Lamination, right? So this is probably some type of printing. And when it comes to categories, don't go too wild with it. Just do the best you can. Don't get too bogged down. I see a lot of people get held up sometimes with QuickBooks because they're always trying to find the right category. Just choose the most relevant category. And you can always create categories too. You don't have to use the ones that's in here. If you have a transaction that keeps up popping up multiple times and it's just not fitting with one of the categories, then it's okay to create a brand new category for that transaction. All right. So lamination services probably fits within printing. All right, I'm gonna do save. And here we go. And here we go. I cannot put special characters, so I just have to put, I gotta remove the apostrophe basically. So let's hit save. And there you go. So every time QuickBooks sees Lara's lamination and it sees it in the spent column with this credit card, it's going to automatically categorize it for previous transactions and future transactions as well. If you're not comfortable for it doing it for previous transactions, just turn off the auto rule. If you turn off the auto rule, basically what's going to happen is it's just going to pre-populate it, and then you get the chance to physically hit add as a final step, basically. All right. And so that's the goal with QuickBooks. Notice I said 90% of your time in QuickBooks is going to be spent in the transactions tab, right? And it is a very true statement. And so with that being said, your goal is to get the 20, like this number here, this 20 for review number, down to 0 as much as possible. Use rules where you can. Use the match feature if you are sending invoices out. So use the match feature. The match feature is only if you're sending out invoices in QuickBooks. All right. If you're not using QuickBooks as your invoice system, you're just adding instead of matching. All right. There's adding, and then there's matching. Adding is adding that transaction that has nothing to do with anything else in your QuickBooks. Matching is matching something that has popped up in your bank, but it's related to something else somewhere in QuickBooks. Such as your essentially like your invoice that you're sending to a customer. Same thing for bill pay. You notice this client uses bill pay, right? So they can match all of their bill pays, using a bill pay match feature. All right. So that's where you spend 90% of your time. Where you spend the rest of your time is in a report section. This is where you can see. So after you're done categorizing all your transactions, now you get to pull reports. And the most popular report is the profit and loss report. This is what shows you how your business is performing on basically on a day-to-day, year-by-year basis. Now, I don't like this format at all, right? I would actually, nothing wrong with this format. I don't know why that line was there, right? So, okay, this is what a profit and loss report looks like essentially, right? And so let's say you want to see how your business is performing this year to today, then you pull the profit and loss report. It gives you a report period this year to date. You can also do last month. You wanted to see how you performed last month? Okay, cool. You just choose last month. My advice always changes. I don't know why QuickBooks to this day hasn't changed this, but always change to cash. Notice how they default for accrual. All businesses, basically, all small businesses are cash basis, right? Cash basis. And so we always want to choose cash, right? Cash meaning, hey, what is everything that came in last month, like physically came into the bank last month, and then what money left the bank last month as well, right? Cash in, cash out, not what you invoiced, not what what bills you received. I want to know what I got in the bank and then what was spent out of the bank, right? So this is a profit and loss report that is cash basis. So always choose cash when you're running your reports. All right. You'll notice that for this one, they have some design income, right? $862.50. There's not a lot of data in here because this is a demo, right? But they have all these different categories. And I can tell you this is probably a QuickBooks account that has way too many categories. I think this has way too many categories. Keep it simple, right? Break down what you need to break down. But my advice, try to keep it as simple as possible. That way you don't confuse yourself and it doesn't become overwhelming. QuickBooks should be quick. It should be simple. In the beginning, it will take you some time to get used to it. All right. But, naturally you will get better with it. But the profit and loss report is going to be the report that you utilize the most. You can change so many things about it. You want to see how you performed last week? Okay, cool. Let's look at how you performed last week. Notice there's no data because this company, there's not really a lot of data in the QuickBooks. And speaking of data, always remember garbage in, garbage out. And that if you're feeding it the wrong data, you won't get out what you're looking for. If you're not categorizing the transactions, then you'll get a screen like this. It shows nothing, right? Or a bunch of negative numbers, income that's negative, expenses that are negative, right? You never want that basically. So always make sure that your transactions tab is fixed. This is the input. The input is the transactions tab. The output is the profit and loss report. All right. And if you need another fancy report, let me just go and show you what a management report would look like. Maybe you have some investors, maybe you have some folks that, they like to see basically things in a more professional report. And so what I can do is I can pull a management report that has a nice, a nice snapshot of the business. And so let me actually do a control F. All right, here we go. So as you can see, it gives you the different tabs, right? Management report. All right, so let's look at this. Let's see our company overview, okay, for this year. And voila, here we go. Nice management report, right? Nice and professional. If you had a logo, it would be in the middle here. And then prepared on what date, right? For management use only, very important. Got a table of contents, profit and loss report, balance sheet, right? And so this is not a certified financial statement, but it's very close. You just need a CPA signature and stamp of approval on it. That's all. So as you can see, it's very professional looking, very, very detailed. And this is something you can send to your investors, on a month to month, quarter by quarter, whatever the case basis. All right. If you're somebody who likes different charts, flow charts and bar graphs and all that good stuff, this is your tab right there. Business snapshot. Okay, what income? How much income did you make year to date? You like to see it in pie chart format? Okay, cool. Here you go. What about expenses? How much did you spend in expenses for the month or for the year? Right. And it even gives you the different breakdowns. Accounting, cost of goods sold, miscellaneous, rent and lease. Look at that. Very, very nice. And then it gives you a bar graph of the report, right? And so you can basically use this if you want to do a comparison, right? You can say, okay, this is the income for this year, and then you can also do a comparison. Notice how this one doesn't have any comparisons because this is a demo account for QuickBooks. All right. You want to see who owes you in the snapshot? There you go. You want to see who you owe in the snapshot? Here you go. So this is a nice business snapshot. They got some very, very detailed reports in here. So this is a very, very nice way to see how the business is performing. Now, QuickBooks does, we're not going to go through this in depth, but QuickBooks does have other features such as payroll. So if you have employees, you can actually run payroll through QuickBooks. And so that is one thing you can do. You got 1099 independent contractors. You can actually you can prepare 1099s here, right? You can add contractors. And with sending 1099s, you cannot do it actually in QuickBooks. They'll take you to a third-party software for you to send the 1099. QuickBooks simply doesn't have the integration to actually send the 1099. Instead, you can prepare your 1099 and you can like make sure it's ready, but you cannot send it. It will just take you to another link so that you can actually send that 1099. All right. So really the only tabs that you truly have to focus on with QuickBooks would be the transactions tab, right? The bank transactions, very important. The reports tab, I would say is number two, very important. And then if you're sending invoices, the sales tab, right? Sales tab is also very important. This is where you can send invoices to customers, see who's paying you, who you need to chase down for money and everything like that. So in this case, if you want to create an invoice, real simple. You hit the create invoice in the top right-hand corner or the right-hand corner. You can create, and here you go. It shows you a video of how to create invoices. Very user-friendly, very seamless. You can create different templates, so you can actually manage templates for QuickBooks. All right, so you can say, okay, I want to edit, I want to use a template for this. You can actually go ahead and use different templates for the QuickBooks. All right, and so yeah, I mean, this is one of those where when you're sending an invoice, right? Notice how it looks very professional. It's got your company's name at the top, word invoice at the top, email address, mailing address. It got everything there. Then you just choose your customer. You can pre-populate your customers or you can add them manually. So let's do an example. Let's say Amy's Bird Sanctuary is one of the customers. We choose them, boom, okay. Their info pops up. And then let's see the product or service that we have is design, right? You can do different products and services in here. So let's do design, right? 2 hours of design work. And you'll see that once I take the quantity and multiply it by the rate, the numbers change, the amount changes based off that. You can do discounts in here if you want. And then notice how you can accept payments directly. You have to activate payments first directly on the invoice. And then depending on the state, you want to put the state income tax rate on the invoice. You want to, notice how this company, they already have a bunch of stuff already pre-populated. So you notice one of the keys with QuickBooks is setting it up correctly the first time, right? Make sure you set it up correctly the first time. It takes some getting through this, right? That's why I said one of the cons of QuickBooks is you do want to go through some training so that you can better be equipped with QuickBooks. Luckily, the platform has videos, tutorials for you that help you better navigate through the QuickBooks. But nonetheless, you do want to have some nice, education and training when it comes to QuickBooks. All right. And so, with that being said, I know that was a lot of information. That was very, very action packed. I can imagine there are some questions that folks have. And so please feel free to queue up your questions. Let me go ahead and share my last slide here. This is my contact information. Anybody who's looking to work with the firm, or you're looking to see how we can collaborate, we can help you, right? Whatever the case may be, you can feel free to scan this QR code. We're primarily a tax firm. So we do taxes, right? Tax preparation, tax planning. So you can feel free to scan this QR code. And I also drop the links in the chat just in case you're not able to. And then my phone numbers, our office phone number, 773-819-5675. That's 773-819-5675. You can also email me, jb at Badu, B-A-D-U, taxservices.com. Badu, JB at Badu taxservices.com. With that being said, I would love to, start the Q&A session formally. So any questions that you have about anything that we've gone over so far, please feel free to ask questions. So let's go into the Q&A session, please. Anybody have any questions? Let's do maybe one person who may want to go on the mic for your question, and then we'll go into the chat questions as well. All right. Any questions, please? You can feel free to, raise
I
your
have
hand. Go
I
ahead.
have a question. My name is
Absolutely.
Melanie, and I was wondering, how much is QuickBooks, and are there different plans you can choose from?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So basically, instead of asking a question without visuals, let's just go straight to the source. So if we go to plans and pricing, remember I suggested the simple start version. And so basically, notice it gives you a free 30-day trial as well. So you get a free 30-day trial. But as far as how much it is, the simple start version, and I would not rely on this price. That is not accurate at all. Let's take off the right. So it does. So they're doing a special right now. They're doing 90% off the first for 3 months, and then you get a live expert assisted for 30 days, right? You also get a free trial for 30 days as well. I mean, that's a pretty good deal. Free for 30 days. Then you pay $3.80 per month for 3 months. So to answer your question, Melanie, it would be $38 per month for the simple start version. That's the full retail price, $38 per month, right? But as you can see, they're throwing in some discounts, some incentives when it comes to the QuickBooks. All right. Does that answer your question, Melanie?
Yep, that answers it. Thank you so much.
No problem. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's do one more question on the mic, and then we'll go ahead and jump into the chat to answer any questions. Anything you want me to repeat, anything that you want me to elaborate, whatever the case may be, please feel free to do so as well. And Melanie, you can feel free to lower your hand too when you get a chance. All right. Anybody with any questions, feel free to unmute, ask your question, and then we'll hop in the chat as well in a second.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. What's your name, please?
Juanita White. I have
Absolutely.
I'm like using Square right now. Is there any
Mhm.
way like if I wanted to transition to QuickBooks, um is there a particular way to do that, or I would just have to start over altogether with QuickBooks?
Yeah, it's a great question. Great question, Juanita. So basically, QuickBooks allows you to import. As long as your stuff is categorized, as long as everything is already, done for you, essentially, you do have the feature, the ability to import into QuickBooks, right? You do have the ability to directly import into QuickBooks. So to answer your question, you would use the import feature in QuickBooks where you would download your Square, transactions basically. You would ultimately download them, and then you would ensure that it's categorized. Once you download it, usually you can do a CSV. CSV stands for Excel spreadsheet, basically, right? So you would download it, and then you would import it into QuickBooks. QuickBooks has a way of importing so that you don't lose the previous data. And then when you auto-populate the transactions, please make sure you select the date after your transactions were already imported from into the QuickBooks. All right. Does that answer your question, Juanita?
Yes, yes, thank you so very much.
Absolutely. Yeah, no problem. No problem at all. All right. Let's do, you know what? Let's go ahead and hop in the chat real quick.
I had a question.
Oh,
And
go ahead.
I had already written, but I might as well go ahead and just say it. My name's Anansi, by the way. The B is silent.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely.
my question is real simple. If I forget a transaction or I don't have the information with me at the time that I'm updating my QuickBooks, can I
Mhm.
go back and add information after the fact? And if I do, how does that impact what's being laid out? Or if I
Yeah,
forget it
sure.
altogether?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. Short answer is yes, you can do that. Um, it is something you can do, right? QuickBooks is real time. It's real time data. It's cloud based, right? So you're not losing anything. It's not one and done. Basically, all you would do is go back to the transaction that you're looking to re-add or recategorize. Um, and yeah, and then what it's going to do is you'll see it pop up in the bank feed. Once it pops up in the bank feed, you choose the right category, and then that translates into your profit and loss report tab, basically.
Great. Thanks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's hop in the chat. I know we got a lot of activity. Great questions so far, too. Nice engagement. Definitely appreciate everybody for joining. I know it's a lot of information. I know this is not the sexiest topic on the planet, right? Accounting and taxes. But the more fun we can make it, the more engaging we can make it, ultimately, the better. All right. Let's see. Let's see. And apologies if I'm ever saying your name incorrectly. Um, I'll try to say the same thing. Let's see. Nia says, would you advise to still save receipts? Yes, absolutely. Even though you're using QuickBooks, which is date stamp, transaction number stamp, time stamp, all that stuff, you still want to, right? And let's go to a transaction real quick. You still want to save your receipts, and QuickBooks actually has a section for you to store all of your receipts, all of your transactions. You just go in a receipt section here, and you can drag and drop receipts. You can just add receipts. You don't have to categorize the receipts. This is just for storage purposes only. So it does have a section for receipts, and this also on your mobile app, on your phone, you have the same thing. But notice how with the QuickBooks, right? It's this one you won't see it as well. Let's go to a pure transaction here. So you'll notice that it's date stamped, right? So there's a specific date for the transaction, right? Which is here, June 9, 2025. This comes directly from the bank, right? Usually you'll see bank codes at the bottom. This is a demo, so you won't see it, but you'll see date stamp, transaction number stamp, time stamp, amount stamp, right? So you definitely still want to keep your receipts, but QuickBooks does have a lot of good some real-time data for you, just in case you having trouble backtracking certain things. All right. Let's see. Now it says, what happens if you forget some information? Well, I just answered the question, so appreciate you for clarifying that. Melanie says, how much is QuickBooks? Yep, we answered that question. Are there different plans to choose from? Yes, there are different plans. What plan would you recommend for a start of small business? The simple start, simple start. Anything you see the word simple, right? Notice the trend, simple, quick, simple, quick. That's the one you want to choose. Are there any free tracking online systems you recommend? Absolutely not. It is QuickBooks. There are some out there, right? There are some out there. I've heard Wave, maybe one you can look into, but we're past free at this point in business, and that sometimes there's a cost to doing business. And when I can get something that can put all my accounting in one place and make things user friendly, make things more seamless for me, and truly allow me to run that business, then that's the route that I'm going ultimately. All right. Let's see. Seda says, is there a fee for each invoice that gets paid? Yeah, if you're using credit card, then yes, it's a fee. It's about 3% or so, the going rate, right? Going market rate. And then if it's ACH, I believe it's 50 cents per ACH transaction. All right. Erica says, can I use QuickBooks to set money aside to pay my taxes? They actually do have a bank account. They actually do have a bank account for QuickBooks. So QuickBooks, you can actually get a checking account for QuickBooks, right? So so you can actually sign up for a bank account, a QuickBooks account, in QuickBooks. So that is something to keep in mind with that. All right. And then somebody asks, is this recorded? Yes, it is. Right. We got the nice recording on. Nancy says, what is ACH? So ACH, basically a bank direct debit, right? Direct debit transaction, when you enter your routing and account number into the invoice. All right. And let's see. Yep. And I answered the question about the charges for the invoice. All right.
So,
Of
but what
course,
are you
QuickBooks.
being charged for with the invoice? Is what I'm not.
Yeah, it's a 3% for the credit card fee, right? So you charge regular processing fees. It's a merchant service. So
Okay,
3% for credit cards, 50 cents per ACH.
got you.
Absolutely. All right, all right. Any great questions so far? Anybody else? Any questions? Let me drop the contact info back in the chat, right? You'll see the contact info in the chat.
I have a question.
But anybody else have any questions?
Yes, I have a question, Linda Rose. If you start out with simple and you decide to upgrade, will the upgrade incorporate everything you had in your simple package?
Yeah, that's $1 million question of the day. Yes, it will stay the same unless you have the self-employed version. The self-employed version. So if you don't have the self-employed version and you follow the recommendation to start off with the simple start version, then all you do is click a button to upgrade and it will save all your data for the rest of time, basically. None of this data ever goes anywhere, by the way. It's not deleted unless you deactivate your account. And even then, they keep your data for at least a year in case you decide to come back.
Hey,
All
but let
right.
me make sure I understand. I'm sorry. So but that data can be merged in your higher upgrade. Is that
Yes,
correct?
it can.
Oh, so
That's
thank
right.
you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Absolutely. Great question. Great question. All right. Any other questions, please? Any other questions?
So I did have a question. Hi, my name is Naya, and I wanted to know, like, for the people who have like e-commerce stores, um,
Mhm.
are you allowed to like integrate your Shopify store or anything to QuickBooks?
Yeah, that's a great question, Naya. QuickBooks is fully integrated with basically everything. They actually have a team that goes out every day and looks to see what's not integrated, and they get it integrated. So yeah, Shopify is big, and so it's most certainly integrated with QuickBooks, where you link it and it pulls all your customer records, all your sales taxes, all that stuff directly into QuickBooks.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, Naya. Great question. All right. Great questions so far. Any other questions, please? Any other questions? Any other questions? You can feel free to unmute, to ask your question, or you can type it in the chat. And I do have my contact information in the chat as well. Anytime anybody who wants to take this offline, you have questions, or you want to work with Badu Tax Services, our firm, whatever the case may be, I do have all of my contact information in the chat. Right. Any questions, please? Amazing questions so far today, by the way. Any questions? All right. Well, questions going once,
Do
going
you have any
twice.
other involvement with Sunshine Enterprises beyond doing this 101 for QuickBooks?
Yeah, I mean, we've done some other workshops in the past. We've done a few tax workshops. I've worked with Sunshine, man, for maybe like 5 years now or so. So yeah, we've done a few other things. I've actually came in person in one of the offices in Chicago before. But yeah, nonetheless, it's more workshop driven education. I'm big on education, financial literacy. That's my specialty. So that's where I can be of service the most. And then, of course, if anybody needs services, tax services, right, that's something we can definitely step in and be able to deliver that service as well. All right.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Jeff. This was such an amazing workshop. I'm sure everyone learned a lot. And to reiterate, yes, this is recorded, so please let me know if you guys would like the recording. I will send it to everybody who signed up, so be looking for that. And also, really quick, in case you missed it at the beginning, I just put in the chat links to 2 other workshops that we have coming up, one with Tony Kitchens, one with OE3. So please take a look at those and sign up for those. And thank you again, Jeff. This was really, really great. And thank you everybody for taking time out of your night to get better.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sinclair. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Hope you learned something great. And I'm always here if you need anything. Goodbye for now. Thank you. Thank you.
So much.
Have a great night,
Absolutely. No
everyone.
problem. Have a great night. Thank you. Thank you. Take care.